Here we are at another podcast with the Better Business Bureau. Sharing is our show. And we're at the Ignite studio, sparked by BBB. How's that? And with us, we got a couple guests. We're going to talk BBB today, Better Business Bureau, and the why. And so let's just have a conversation. Introduce yourselves real quick, and then I'm going to throw out a question, and we're going to do a mock spark conversation.
Perfect.
So the audience learns what we're about. Go ahead.
Wonderful. I'm Evie Kara-George, Director of Ignite, sparked by BBB, and this is BBB Sharing. All right, who's next?
I'm David Barrett, and I'm the Regional Executive with the Virginia Council of CEOs and some people say retired executive, but I seem to be staying very busy, so not very retired.
And the vice chair.
Oh, and the vice chairman of the board
Yes.
of the Better Business Bureau of Central Virginia. Thank you, Barry, for
So
reminding
you're
me
our
of that.
boss. Well, we're not going to.
I was trying to
that.
read my name tag upside down. That's so I remember who I am.
And the last one.
My name is Crystal Sicurti, and I'm the General Manager for the Better Business Bureau serving Central Virginia.
I didn't have your mic on. Sorry about that. Scared you right there, huh? But anyway, good. So, well, welcome to all of you. So I'm going to throw out a question. You each have 60 seconds to answer. So it's like a game, almost, like on Channel 8.
It's just like Wheel of Fortune.
Almost.
Go ahead. Here we go.
Yeah, so the question I'm going to ask, is the Better Business Bureau relevant?
Who goes first?
I'll start. Prior to starting this position, I didn't know much about the Better Business Bureau. Now that I know more about it, I think it's very important that it stays relevant, especially for up-and-coming generations that fall very easily victim to scams or don't have, I call it calling dad. That's what I call the Better Business Bureau. Don't have a dad to call if they need to know about where to take their tire to get fixed or plumbing issue. And so I think we need to start working harder about making it more relevant in the community.
Good.
Well, this is David Barrett's turn. So moving right along, I think it's incredibly relevant. I'm thrilled that I'm still on the board of the BBB, promoting, marketing, really our value proposition, if you will, to the community, not just to businesses, but to the consumer. I think that's probably the most important thing. So we're a nonprofit with a tremendous vision and a tremendous mission to the current, population and to the future as well. It really promotes the concept of doing business in an ethical, moral, honest way with one another. Interestingly enough, at my age, I've looked back and seen a lot of fraudulent activity. Fortunately, not too close to me or my family or my home, but certainly people that have paid for a addition put on their home only to put the big down payment and the builder goes to Mexico or Russia or someplace but leaves town. Anyway, moving right along, it's just a safeguard for families, businesses, and people.
Beep. Sorry. You're at 1 minute.
But I want to keep going.
You
I want to
can't.
keep going. Okay.
We have rules of the house.
Okay.
Sorry. It's like a casino.
Okay, I've been canceled. Go.
Yeah.
Canceled.
We'll be back, though.
I do believe we're relevant. I think our relevancy is changing from where we used to be known as the complaint house and where you go to kind of stake your grief against that business. Now it's turning more to the positive of the customer review angle, which is a good thing because it's not just the negative all the time. So I'm excited to see what that holds for us.
Very good. Well, that's how our Spark conversations would go. We'll have 3 people around the table. We might have 60. It depends on the topic. So here's another one. Team building is an art that has been forgotten. Who would like to go first?
I'll start. I worked for 2 companies prior to this position, and had I been a part of some sort of team building at those companies, I probably wouldn't have, I call it giving up, but I put in my 2 weeks as quickly as I did. I don't think that the company values were presented to me clearly, and they were not values that I agreed with in the end. And so that's why I ended up leaving those companies. And I think that it's really important not only for the employee to protect themselves before applying for a certain position, but also for the employer to protect themselves as well. I read somewhere that it's actually waste. The company loses 30% of their annual profit because that's how much they're paying the employee for that time period that they're working there, and then they quit. Yeah, so it's pretty bad.
And the buzzer right there. She just made it.
Team building is extremely important in every small business, medium-sized business, and Fortune 500 companies. That's why they spend a lot of time, or they should spend a lot of time in retreat, strategic planning. But one of my all-time favorite analogies is that if you're going to be a successful company, you got to get your team working in the same way, which means rowing in the same direction and at the same speed. And how are you going to do that if you don't communicate with one another and have some leadership mixed into the day-to-day activities? So with that, I'm going to be under 1 minute.
You are.
Bingo.
But tell us about, real quickly, veer off. Does the Council of CEOs help CEOs learn how to do the team building exercises?
I think so, by just the concept of the roundtables, that they come together in most confidential and routine gatherings, and they talk about all of that all the time. I mean, so, and then we have our annual retreat, which comes up the first few days of May, a couple nights away. Many of the speakers that come in are talking about strategic planning and team building, and presenting a positive image to employees and guiding them in ethical and moral ways. So, yes.
Very good. Thank you.
So I think team building super important, but I don't necessarily think it needs to be outings or full day gatherings with the staff. It could be a simple just meeting to where you're having conversations, and then getting everybody on the same page. Everyone knows what the direction is and moving forward. So it's all in how you look at it.
Very good. We have time for one more question before we go to double jeopardy here. How do I ask this question? So, does the Central Virginia area have its arms wrapped around the fentanyl drug use and mental health issues in Central Virginia? Because we have all the nonprofits out there raising money, all the nicest events on a weekly gala, everywhere people are raising money, but are we really fixing the issues?
I don't think the issue's getting fixed. I don't think it's getting any better. I think in a lot of ways it's getting worse. We see things like don't stigmatize it, don't make them feel bad for it. But the reality is there has to be some motivation to help these people change the way they've chosen to live their lives, and the decisions that they make. So, like I've said before, are you just going to throw money at the issue? Or are you actually going to do something about it? And I think we need to actually hit the ground running and be in front of those people that have that issue and say, hey, do you want to change? Because the first step is actually saying, yes, I want to change. I don't want this to be a part of my life anymore. I don't want this to control my life. And so that's the problem. I don't think that there's a lot of people sitting in front of the victims, really.
Well, I have some experience with all of this. Illegal drugs, addictive drugs, have been and are currently a major problem in this country. And if you don't think so, just talk to some of the people that have lost their loved ones, their teenagers, their young adults, due to drug abuse and addiction. And so I don't think that we could spend too much time on that. Yes, it starts with understanding the problem. It understands with law enforcement, with controlling illegal substances. It might have something to do with closing the southern border. I mean, there's a lot of issues, but it needs to be addressed. And I think from what I can ascertain, Governor Youngkin here in Virginia is spending a lot of time and putting a lot of the agencies together and doing team building exercises to get everybody rowing in the same direction on this. So I do think we are looking at it. We probably just need to do a whole lot more.
Yeah, I think I'm with Evie. We don't have enough conversations with people that are directly impacted with it. But what you do see a lot of is additional organizations opening up, attempting to tackle the same problem without looking at the victims, without hearing what do they need, what are they looking for, do they want to change, are they willing to do the work? But again, we just open more and more and more nonprofits saying they're addressing the same issue, but we're not really getting anywhere. So,
Well, thank you. This was an example of what our Spark conversations were going to be. And I think summing that all up, I think the key for that drug use and acceptance and all that in real life with Sarah Scarborough, C.T. Woody, Carl Leonard with the HEART program are making super leaps and bounds. I mean, bringing God into the lives at the jail with the chapel, the chapel broadcast. Joel Hughes with his team educating folks. But it's building back families' faith and building families stronger than ever. But when somebody, unfortunately, ODs or either alcohol or drugs, you just got to call it what it was. They were a user, and don't be ashamed of that. That person did it. We all know somebody knows somebody. And, you know, we've all lost people in DUIs and terrible accidents. And whether it was alcohol or drugs, mental health, what caused the issue? My great uncle was an alcoholic back in the early 1900s. I don't think they ever worried about why he was an alcoholic. I don't think they ever studied that. They didn't care. They just got him more beer. So with that, we'll wrap up. Go ahead, Evie, give us a shout out.
Thank you to our guests today, Mr. Dave Barrett and Crystal.
Yes.
This is BBB Sharing at Ignite, sparked by BBB. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook, Ignite, sparked by BBB, serving Central Virginia. Thank you again.